Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today at the West Precinct. I had the opportunity with Chief Best to sit in on the roll call that just happened, and have to say again, thank you to all those officers who show up every day and go to work in this city. We've been a changing, growing city. Our police officers work hard every day to make a better Seattle, and all of our numbers show that they are. I mean, we look at the job of policing in our city has changed so much. We ask officers to do more and more. Just last year alone, over 17,000 crisis calls that our officers responded to, and showed the great professionalism that they've shown to do that. So I just want to thank them first. We're here today to also talk about, we're headed into busy shopping season. We plan to make the Macy's Star a historical monument, so it can never go away. That's just a joke. But we know that we want all of our merchants and all of our families to feel safe and to be able to enjoy the season without worrying about whether there's an uptick in crime or problems with shopping. And that's why today Chief Best and I are announcing that the Seattle Police Department officers will be doing extra holiday patrols to support our residents, our visitors, our employers, and others during this busy holiday season. Starting November 30th, communities will see an increase in SPD patrol officers in 9 of our major retail locations. Our goal is to increase officer visibility in our high traffic areas to prevent crime, to make people feel safe, and to let everyone enjoy the holiday season. SPD has deployed holiday patrols for many years. It's a proven strategy. We know it works, and we want people to know that that's why they're going to be seeing the extra officers. We have very close to passing a budget. In April, based on feedback from the community and our analysis of public safety data, we asked the Seattle Police Department and Chief Best and other departments to really take a look at those communities that needed additional emphasis, community maintenance, and police patrols. These emphasis patrols have worked very well, and I will tell you that when I'm out in the community, walking and talking to people in all neighborhoods across the city, the number one question I heard from people is, can we get one? That's why my 2020 budget proposed over $800,000 to continue with our emphasis patrols. They recognize that we need sometimes additional resources in areas to make those communities safer. It's not just police, it's the other things that government does in a community to make it safe, so working hand in hand, our departments have been able to do that. And we've not just reduced the amount of violence and crime in those areas, we have seen a greater working relationships with the communities themselves. Again, really grateful to the men and women of the Seattle Police Department who every day are helping us address the changing challenges in our growing city. Our budget now is pending. City Council is close to passing it. Everywhere I go in Seattle, as I said, I hear people say we need more officers. And we know how quickly our city has grown. For a period of time, almost 1,000 people were moving to Seattle a week. We are one of the fastest growing cities in America, and our ability to attract and recruit and retain police officers has not kept pace. The chief has been working on that around the clock, and together we've been able to do things that we have now seen a positive change in the direction of hiring more people than we are losing. But it's really critical to make sure that our budget retains those amounts so that we can continue to have the best department and both hire and retain those officers. I have to say a special thank you to Carmen Best. Our chief works around the clock and loves this city. She loves this department and is honored to serve it. And she believes in her bones in the theory and the practice and the effects of community policing and continual improvement. It's been an honor to work with her, and so now I'll turn it over to our Chief of Police, Carmen Best.
Jeez, great.
That's right.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for your leadership and your comments. It's very appreciated, and your continuous support of the Seattle Police Department. As we all know, next week is Thanksgiving, and soon neighbors across the city will be out shopping and involved in the holiday season. The days are shorter, the nights are longer. You know, more visitors will come into our city to shop and to dine and to experience and enjoy the unique cultural experiences that we have in Seattle. We have our own holiday tradition here in the Seattle Police Department. We deploy extra officers in neighborhoods across the city where they will be seen and contribute to the vitality of the area. A visible police presence, as the mayor said earlier, is known to deter crime and make neighborhoods safer. One of the prominent themes and concerns that was expressed in our public safety survey was that neighborhoods really wanted to see more officers in the field. And so we're addressing it by doing these things like holiday beats and holiday patrols to be out there. And this year we've increased our holiday patrols by 20%. So for 2019, we have 9 areas that have been selected. We worked with our precinct captains to make sure that we were getting information as close to the front lines as possible. So that I'm going to name the 9 areas that will have the holiday patrols: the Ballard Business District, the Downtown Retail Core, Capitol Hill, Fremont Business District, Columbia City, University Village Business District, University Business District, Westwood Village and Rox Hill Park, and the West Seattle Junction. So those are the 9 areas. These neighborhoods were selected, again, working with our officers and our precinct captains so that we can make sure that we were targeting our efforts in the areas that needed them most. And one last reminder, I mentioned the public safety survey. We really want people to take that survey. It helps inform how we deploy resources, what issues are important to community members. It's at publicsafety.org. It's in 11 different languages. We love for people to take that survey and help us out. This is the 5th year that we've done this with the Seattle University, and the data helps us, again, inform how we deploy. I just want to take this last moment to, again, thank the mayor for her continued support. All of the initiatives that she's pushed through that we've worked so hard with to be in the budget, they're really needed. It's not a secret to anybody that resources are stretched, and we really need to make every effort that we can to get more men and women here on the police department and to keep and retain the ones that we already have here. I also want to thank my command staff. Several of them are here. And of course, the men and women of this great organization. They're on the front lines every single day doing the work to keep this city safe, and I cannot thank them enough. We're always looking at continuous improvement and innovation, and they are the reason that we are on track to, improve and be better in the future. So with that, I'll close. If you have any questions for the mayor or I.
Mayor Durkan, you talked about what you've heard from people and especially businesses around the city about wanting more police. Does Seattle need these patrols 365 days a year?
No, I think that we are, I relied on the chief to determine what's the appropriate level of staffing depending on what we're seeing both in the data and what we're hearing from communities. We know we need more officers. I'm really heartened that we're finally turning the corner and we're hiring more than we're losing, and we're hiring some really great people. You see the men and women behind me, some of them range in service from a few years to decades. And that's what this department is. The heart and soul of this department is going to continue to work, and I'm really believe that with a strategy, working with what we have, that we are protecting the safety. And I really want to emphasize something the chief maybe didn't. If your community and neighborhood wasn't on that list that she read, it doesn't mean the police won't be in there enforcing the law. We are going to continue to enforce the law in every part of the city, but we know from the data and from patterns where we need to have additional enhancements, and that's what we're going to do.
So are there particular neighborhoods that need emphasis patrols 365 days a year?
No, I think that as you look at the patterns of both what types of crimes are committed in any kind of pattern basis and where they happen, it can be episodic. And if you're talking about organized criminal activity, they're smart, and so they shift. And so your deployment strategies have to meet what the reality is in the streets. Yeah. So there's always areas that need more patrols because we know that's where people come together and where there's certain both opportunistic crimes and planned crimes. But there's other areas where you'll see an uptick, and the chief is very good, both through her CSTAT process and otherwise, to say what's happening in that neighborhood, in that community, in that precinct, and how do we get resource after it. Do you want to add anything to that, Chief?
No, Mayor, I think you covered it really well. We're always looking at all the data, trying to make sure we're informed real time about what's happening. And as you know, things shift and move, and so we need to be flexible to be able to deploy resources where we need them at that time. You know, sometimes a crime spree will happen in a certain area, so we deploy resources there. And if it moves to another area, we'll deploy there. So we're always trying to be flexible, always trying to stay on top of that.
Mayor, can I
some of
ask
the
you, you
complaints-
have mentioned the budget several times. Your budget includes a big package for retention and hiring. Are you confident that that's going to come out when they vote on the budget next Monday? Is there any area of concern for you?
Look, we put forward what we thought we needed, and obviously retention is critical to who we are as a department. They've already reduced that amount. I know that there's other amounts on the table. I'm hoping that they keep it whole. But through the whole budget process, I think that the budget has remained largely intact, and depending on what comes out, we're going to make sure that we do what we need to do to make sure that we give the resources, not just to the men and women behind us, but to the other important initiatives we have in the city to keep it, you know, I still think, I know it's a shock to y'all, but I still think Seattle's the best city in this country. And I know people wrote last week that it was the gloomiest city. Fake news.
Mayor, are you guys doing anything to address some of the complaints about recidivism? You know, reoffenders going to be back out. I mean, more police is what people want, but.
Yes, thanks. That's a great question. So as you know, we pulled the work group together on the repeat offenders. It continues to work. Just yesterday, the elected officials serving on that group met. So it was me together with Pete Holmes, Dan Satterberg, representatives of Superior Court and Municipal Court, and Dow Constantine to get information on data, looking at that gap between people who are released because they're not competent to stand trial, but yet they don't meet the criteria of having involuntary commitments. And what is that doing to those people who are coming into the system again and again, so that we can really look at what's that scope of that and how do we fix it. So we will continue to work on that issue, and I think you're going to see additional proposals coming from that group of people, because there's too many systems that work in the same space, and if we're not working together, there'll be too many cracks.
Yeah,
Can
I
you send a
barrier
preview of
pilot-
some of the plans that you guys were thinking about doing?
Well, we've released, you know, we've got those that are pending in the budget, so we'll have the new services in the west wing of the jail that will be predominantly for those high-risk repeat offenders. And so we have that. I think we're still hoping enhanced probation gets through. If it doesn't, we're going to continue to work with the courts to see how we can move that kind of system into the courts itself, so that if you have a person that you know is that repeat offenders, how do we get the resources to both get that person stabilized and keep them from churning through the system? We're going to have case conferencing so the person won't fall between the gaps between Dan Satterberg's office and Pete Holmes' office. So we will continue to do those strategies, and we're going to be looking at others, including, if we need to work with the state legislature, which has Representative Senator Manka Dhingra has a bill that will make some tweaks in how you do involuntary commitments, for how long, and get resources. We also need more resources for the range of people. For example, a number of you know that they passed Ricky's Law for those people who would qualify for involuntary commitment because of behavioral health issues related to addiction. But there are no beds in the city of Seattle for that kind of commitment. So we need to make sure the state, working with the county, working with the city, addresses these. And it all fits together. It's one reason we're pushing very hard to get regional governance on homelessness emergency response. So we have a holistic response, not just shelter dollars, but mental health and behavioral health dollars working together to get people stabilized so they're not cycling into the streets.
I know you
Time for
referenced
one more question.
I know you referenced what the stats say, but even just yesterday, I heard from two different businesses that said they've lost thousands of dollars in recent months to break-ins, to shoplifting. What do you say to those businesses who say they're losing tons of money to thieves and they don't feel like the city has their back?
You know, the chief and I talk about that every day, and I saw some of the reporting on that. Our businesses are part of the important vitality, in particular our small businesses. Being, you know, targeted by shoplifters over and over again not only hurts their bottom line, but it hurts their ability to retain their employees, to stay in business. We hear you. We're going to help you. I think the chief can, you know, she's done a number of programs just in the last few weeks to really focus in on some of those repeat shoplifting locations so that we can show there will be a response. We will enforce the law, and we will make sure that we are trying to make Seattle as livable as possible and a place that is a great place to do business, to come and enjoy.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Again, I'm just going to echo what the mayor said. We're always working and looking to make things better. I can tell you, Captain Mahaffey behind me, just last week, they ran an operation. They arrested, was it 17 people? 17 people in one day, all about shoplifting and theft. So we are absolutely going to make sure that we're working with the businesses, we're deploying resources, and trying to make sure we make a difference in this area as well.
But as of now, you don't feel that we need 365 days a year emphasis?
It's just like we said earlier, you know, things move and change. We will deploy resources where we see the need. As things become, you know, more critical, then we'll put them in those areas. So things move around. So we have to be flexible. We go where the data takes us. So.
Yeah, and with that is we never say, hey, bad guys, this is where the cops are. You know, we're everywhere.
Chief, if the council does strip away at least a third of the retention and recruitment budget, what's that going to do for your efforts in that department?
Well, let me just say this. We need all the support we can to make sure that we have enough men and women in this department to do the work that we need to do. I don't think I have to repeat the fact that we have strained resources. We are turning the corner. It's getting better, but we're not there yet. We're still digging out of a hole. And everyone in this city, at least all the people that I've been talking to, they want more cops. And we have worked, the mayor put together an innovation team. We came together, did all of the research that we could, talked to the cops, found out what they needed, and everything that we're asking for are things that are needed. I've thanked the mayor personally. I'll thank her publicly for pushing this through, but we need it. It's not a frivolous ask. It's like we need this to help us keep our city safe.
Quick follow-up. Last time I was in this room with you when you had a press conference, you said you needed the support of the Seattle City Council, city leaders for your police department. Given the cuts and proposed cuts that have gone and some for the all-out cut of the entire proposal for your department, how do you feel supported at this point from your city council?
Well, you know, it's not, the process isn't over yet, so, you know, we don't know, right? So what I'm telling you is that we certainly need the support, and we hope that the budget goes through. I think everybody's worked really hard to make sure that the asks were reasonable and necessary, so we'll see where it lands.
Thank you very much, everybody.
All right.